Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This is Kenny Larson with The Gauntlet. We have an interview coming up with Corners of Sanctuary. Stay tuned. Stand by, please. All right. This is Kenny Larson with The Gauntlet. Am I talking to Mick?
You're talking to Mick, yes, sir.
Hi, Mick. How you doing?
All right, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, too.
Good.
Just so I can orient myself, there's a picture of you guys in your PR pack. One guy isn't wearing any sunglasses. Somebody's got a leather jacket on. One guy's got a skull on his t-shirt. And another guy has a studded belt. Can you tell me which one you are? I bet you don't even know about this.
I'm not sure which picture you're looking at. I usually have a studded belt. Okay, I'm probably the guy with the leather jacket on, goatee, long hair.
Yeah, you got real long hair, yeah.
Yeah.
Lucky dog.
Yeah.
Tell you what, if you start to lose it, it's a trauma. But you don't look like you're going to, so. All right, well, thanks a lot. I feel privileged to be able to interview and talk to you. You guys are a fairly young band, comparatively speaking, starting in 2011. About 5 years together?
Yeah, about 5 years.
Okay. I've spent some time. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, we're young in terms of this band.
But you've been.
We've been around for a while.
So this is kind of the assembly of the super band, so to speak.
Well, I guess that's one way of looking at it. But several of us have played on and off together for the past 30 years. Been in other bands, and we did studio work together and things like that. So.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you've been in the business for 30 years?
Just about, yeah.
How the hell do you look so young? We're probably in the same generation, for God's sake.
Yeah, I guess.
I just turned 50, so it's time for the colonoscopy,
We're mid-40s. Frankie's a little older, the singer, but yeah. So we've been, we were an '80s band. We started out kind of young, and we just went from there.
Well, that's pretty cool to have 30-year history as a musician, a working musician. I mean, some people would say that's the dream there. I've been able to do what I love for that long and keep doing it.
Yeah, well, there's definitely a love for it. There has to be. I think if you think that you're going to do it in 6 months, you're going to make it to the top of the plateau or make $1 million, then you're kind of missing the mark. You really have to enjoy the music. You have to enjoy the creative process, and I personally really enjoy the creative process of where the music takes you when it's all coming together, and the opportunity to work with different people and then share the music. I think that's real important.
Yes, absolutely. And I've heard a quote from a band: "Living on the lighted stage approaches the unreal." Would you say that's true?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, there's a lot of there's just a lot of opportunity that, and if you're open to it, you can really. I know this is probably going to sound sappy, but you can really enrich your life, and sometimes, if you're lucky enough, enrich the lives of those around you, whether it's other musicians or friends, family, or even the people that that listen to your music.
Not sappy at all. In fact, anything goes here at the Gauntlet. You can go sappy.
Okay.
We can go into comedy. You want to talk about narcotics, whatever. It's all wide open. Radio free
Okay.
Gauntlet. So that's a
There
good.
you go.
Enrichment is an honorable goal, and I have been enriched by the record. And is it self-titled? Yes, it is. Okay, yeah. So it's very solid and full and warm compared to some of the recent reviews I've done of records where the treble's a little bit scooped out, or not the treble, the mid-range is a little scooped out on your record, and the guitars are more apparent. I love that sound, and there's a lot of great riffs on it too. From the beginning intro all the way to the end. So it's good record. I like it, and I think that if you guys can get the right marketing going, you're gonna sell quite a few copies of it, and be able to make another one soon.
Absolutely.
So tell me, where do you guys come from? It probably is in the promo. Are you Philadelphia based?
Yes, we're Philadelphia based.
Wow. See, that's like another country to me, you know? I'm in Kansas City.
Okay.
Midwestern. Philadelphia is like, I've been to New York several times, and I know that Philadelphia has its own style and feel. Did you grow up there?
Yes, we grew up. All of us, except for Frankie's actually from northeastern Pennsylvania, Scranton way. He's actually closer to New York, but the rest of us, grew up in the Philadelphia area. We actually played Kansas City a couple years ago. The thing that was a shock to us, it was like after like 8 o'clock, the whole city seems to shut down.
Was
it got
this
real quiet? We couldn't find any place to eat.
Was that a weekend or a weekday?
It was a Saturday.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Next time you come to Kansas City, you give me a call, and I'll get you. I'll show you where to go to find the places that go till 3 and 4 a.m.
Okay. It was a very clean city, and a huge contrast to what we're used to seeing in parts of Philly. It was we enjoyed the time there. It's just that we usually eat late at night, and that was our only gripe. So, but other than that, we hope to get back there sometime.
Do you remember what venue you played at?
Oh God, I apologize. My memory sometimes isn't the best with that, but
it's in mine either. I mean, I can't even remember who.
It was. I know it was a place that was like under the bridge, kind of like we had to go over the bridge and then go down and around, and that's as far as I remember. I do apologize.
Oh, that's okay. It wasn't a hurricane, was it?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I may be wrong.
Well, there's been a change in the venue landscape here in the last couple of years, so you probably wouldn't. I don't. It probably doesn't exist anymore. Okay. So it says here you guys are trying to go south with your music. Is that true?
Go south?
South, like South America, Mexico, Brazil.
I don't know. You mean I don't know in terms of the tour or anything like that. There was some talk about it. We've had people approach us for a couple different things, but us as a band. I know we've been focusing a lot on on the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of it's our home base. There's plenty of places to play. Um, we have, we have a traditional type of style, which is kind of the niche market itself, and it's stemmed from the new wave of British heavy metal, but our American take on.
Sure.
We were heavily influenced by the new wave of British heavy metal, Judas Priest, Accept, so on and so forth. But then there, bands like Sabotage and Kiss in the '70s and Queensryche and stuff like that. So there's a lot of American influences that also have contributed to our type of style and sound. So we find it it's I think playing America is pretty good for us, and that's not I'm not saying that we're neglecting other countries, because there was talk earlier this year that we had talked to some booking people and stuff, and we were starting to put together something for Europe, but there's just so much red tape and baggage to go along with that. So we just kind of our focus has been the States, but if we go if we're offered something that seems that it's going to work for us, then we'll absolutely entertain it, sure.
Okay. I'm just going to reference real quick where I was coming from, if that sounded like it was out of left field. I didn't mean to blindside you, but it says, since the release of Breakout, COS has been working with La Mazacata Records, Mexico.
Yeah, we did, excuse me, we did with our first 2 albums.
Ah, okay.
In terms of distribution, and they were doing heavy distribution throughout Latin America and stuff like that. And then the record label actually went full board with us for Axe to Grind. That was the follow-up album, and they released it because they were really pushing it. But we just never could get to a commitment level, not from our end, but from other people's end, to bring us down there. And again, like actually, traveling south, that's a whole nother beast.
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot of things involved in that, and bands really have to make a decision if that's something that they want to do. And I think at one point it was just something I don't think we were really keen on doing, especially with the political temperature.
Yeah.
That's going on right now, and is it worth it? I don't know.
Yeah, when you go to certain countries, you always got to worry about governmental coups happening and things like that. Yeah. But I will say that Brazil loves American heavy metal. I mean, they sing along with everybody in English. It's just crazy down there. But anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted you, and this is your interview. So what were you gonna say?
No. I was going to say that there's. I mean, I've been to Mexico several times on personal exhibitions, and there's parts that white guys like us can disappear and no one will ever find it. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know. Again, is that something that you want to if you look at it just as in a business sense, is that a chance that you want to take at this time?
Yeah, probably not till you have security and everything.
Right. If we were booked at a tour, just say in the most awesomeness of opportunity, if we booked a tour with Judas Priest, all that stuff would be taken care of. That you would never have to worry about going 2 blocks over and disappearing.
Right. You'd land at the airport, a limousine, and take you to the green room, and
right. You would. So I mean, again, that's a whole different thing. I'm just poking fun at it, but it's something. Listen, there's plenty of places here in the States, and this is a great market, of course. And I mean, we're supporting traditional American heavy metal, and where else is it going to fly but here in America?
Absolutely. So let me ask this question. Is there a theme or meaning to the phrase "corners of sanctuary"?
Yes, it has. It actually has 2 meanings, or at least two definitions to where the name was derived from. On a spiritual context, sanctuary, a corner of sanctuary is kind of where an individual can go to kind of just be themselves, um, without like worry of judgment or ridicule or anybody saying anything. So it's just a place that you can be you and not worry about anything else. It could be a place that you go to think out problems. It could be a place you go to meditate. It could be a state of mind. It could be running or jogging or flower arrangement or anything that you find that actually settles your spirit, settles your mind, and puts you in a state where you're comfortable with who you are. Music does that for us as individuals. That's kind of one of the reasons why we've been able to stay with it so long. It's like music soothes the savage beast type of idea.
Absolutely, and very cathartic.
The other definition to it is it's a martial arts term. A corner of sanctuary is a place that you would move your body or your person to that you can't be struck. So you can't be touched by your opponent, but you may be able to touch them. So in a sense, both of them actually kind of work together. They're safe zones. They're places that you can go and feel comfortable, feel safe, feel that you can be who you are. That's about it.
Well, that's great. I kind of imagine it in that context, but it's heavy, It's really there's something of a philosophy or maybe not a philosophy, but an ethos in it.
Right.
So that's cool. And I will tell you that performing is you said your corner of sanctuary. As a metal itself has been a very much a cathartic, healing type of music for myself and for many loyal metal fans. So I mean, there's something to there that links into there too.
Absolutely, it's very empowering.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the allures, especially when you really when you come to the music as a younger person, you find it to be empowering, and maybe and it helps. It can build confidence. It can build inspiration. It can do a lot of things if you allow it, positively. And as with anything, there can be negative effects to it too, and it just all depends on the person, what they're looking for. But yeah, it's a very empowering type of music, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's been able to maintain its popularity, both mainstream and in the underground for all this time.
Absolutely. I did a story not too long ago that Spotify had done, and they mined the data off of their platform and found that the most loyal fans of any were heavy metal fans. And I happen to think that metal fans' depth of feeling and depth of passion may just be a little bit more than the average person, And the music is dramatic,
Yes.
big crescendos and adrenaline, and so that was a good description, real good. Okay, so I was on the YouTube looking for something I might paste into your story to give people a little taste, and I found a video where you guys are wearing horns. Does that ring a bell?
We're wearing horns?
Yeah. Like ram's horns? What?
I don't recall that, but I mean, it's possible.
You would remember. I'm sorry. I might have mixed you up with someone else, or maybe it played past the thing that you actually were doing. I apologize very much for that.
That's okay.
The publicist took me, the Lord of PR, as he's booked his entire slate for interviews with me, back to back to back. And so I apologize, but I'm back on the same page again.
That's okay. Depending on normally, here's our thing. There's the stigma that metal music. I mean, if you remember in the '80s, lying, which had something to do with, you know, the fall of society or some kind of crazy shit like that. You know, being in metal, you know, most of us knew that that was all crap, and unfortunately, there are those that are involved in that, but it doesn't have to be just metal; it can be with anything. You know
Sure.
what I mean? However, that being said, the kind of people that we are, individuals, like I will not give in my writing or in the branding or however we present ourselves. I do the best that I can, if I have any say in it, not to represent us in any kind of negative light or in a light that could possibly be misconstrued that we're something other than we are, because that's and that, hey, listen, that works for a lot of bands and it's fantastic. But for us, being the kind of people that we are, if we're not being true to ourselves, then we're lying. And you know what? Fans, after a while, can tell the difference if we're just putting on shtick and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Now,
gimmicks.
if a gimmick, and I'm not really, you know, I'm past the age of gimmicks, and I never really was into gimmicks because that's a lot of work to do. And with all gimmicks, sooner or later they run their course, and then you're forced to be who you are anyway. You know, and we've seen it over time with musicians and artists that present themselves as a certain persona, and then after a while, you realize that they're just regular people too. I mean, and of course they are, but
Right.
people buy into it after, you know, and it's hard to live up to. So instead of going that route, we try to just state what we are and do what we do, and I won't give precedence to something that either I don't believe in or I don't want to convey in a negative sense. Because, you know, I have family and I have friends. Um, most of us in the band have children as well, so it's not something that we're trying to do, you know. So, I mean, I don't think it is us. It probably was. If Ben hits you with everybody, it's possible that things are just running over into one another. And
Yeah.
maybe it was, you know, somebody else.
Yeah, well, I'm this is the first time that ever happened to me, and I'm sorry I did that to you.
No, I'm not worried about it. It's just, you know.
Okay, so honest music, honest. I've written down here. I wrote it down before I got on the phone. That's good. So I should have looked at that before I talked about the demon heads or whatever. But is there a common theme to this new self-titled Corners of Sanctuary? Or is it a collection?
Well, no. Anytime that we do an album, we do keep there's a musical theme that runs through it, and definitely a musical theme, and I think that keeps the continuity of the album, so it doesn't look like we just started picking things, you know, off the shelf. Okay, here it is, here it is, here it is. You know, and sometimes you can do that with a collection of music or a compilation, but musically, there's definitely a theme. With the last album, there's an underlying, without beating you over the head with it, theme about war, the soldier, and kind of the effects of war on society. And again, you can kind of take the lyrics a couple different ways, but that's kind of where the underlying theme is there, and everything kind of pulls it together. So it's like the challenges of war, the effects of war, overcoming war, and war doesn't necessarily have to be meaning like two countries battling it out. It can be the war within inside you. Kind of like Wrecking Ball is about, you know, surmounting challenges and believing in yourself that you can do that. Now, you may not get that immediately from the lyrics, but that's what it's about. Without, like, you know, we're not preaching and we're not beating you over the head with it. We're trying to still keep the metal juices flowing, so to speak. You know, and we try to get catchy with some of the lyrics so that they flow right with the music, and we keep that theme going.
Wow. I'm really glad I got a chance to talk to you. This is putting a whole lot of depth behind it, behind the music, and I'm going to use it as motivational. The way you described some of the stuff. Okay, so when did you this? When did you know that this was what you wanted to do with the rest of your life, or up to now anyway?
Um, well, I actually I play guitar, but I originally started on drums. Um, when I chose an instrument, but I came from a family who my older brother played guitar and played in a bunch of Philly bands. My grandfather, so if you know, like Philly has the Mummers Parade every year,
Mm-hmm.
New Year's Day. I don't know. Well, my grandfather was a mummer in the '50s, so he played in string bands. He played banjo and he played the accordion and some other things. But he also then played violin and stuff like that. So I grew up with a lot of music.
Sure.
My family doing music, and I guess it just felt like it was the thing to do. Whether I wanted to be like my older brother, which was probably it when I was 7.
Mm-hmm.
But that's there was always some kind of instrument laying around, so I would pick up the guitar and stuff like that. But I was kind of like I was like an overactive kid, so playing the drums seemed to be kind of natural. I did that for about 5 years, and then I kind of again I think I wanted to be more like my older brother, and I decided to go for guitar, and I kind of stayed at that point. So around 12 or 13, I think I became I switched over to guitar, and I kind of knew it. I kind of definitely knew it around 13. Like, this is something I really want to do.
Okay. Was there a lot of professional musicians will describe a record or a couple of records that they heard that they just played over and over again, and it was like really galvanized their quest to perform music. Was there anything like that for you, or?
Yeah, well, album-wise, I mean, I think when I was real young, Kiss Alive 2 was definitely an album that I would play every day that I would get home from school. And, I mean, it was just that, I mean, that gave you a sense of, like, wow, this is huge.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There's the people, and you could just, and albums were designed that way, of course, but, like, you really felt like you were there when you were listening to it. Another album that it's one of my top 5, Stained Glass from Judas Priest.
Oh yeah.
That's definitely
Invaders. Yes.
Yeah, Queensryche's Rage for Orders is a powerhouse album for me. There's some stuff from Savage, Accept, Restless and Wild. That's another album. So yeah, there was. I mean, I think, as I went through ages, in terms of like certain albums just resonated with me at that particular time. Like, I mean, I can give you an example. Like, Twisted Sister's "Stay Hungry" album really resonated with me for a bit, and it was one of those ones that I carried around cassette wise with. It just had it, at the time it had something slightly different than what I was getting from Judas Priest.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, and it just hit different chords with me that kept saying, yeah, this is definitely what I want to do. This is definitely what I want to do. It's definitely it's just not an easy road at all. I mean, you just got to keep firing at it. But then coming from Philadelphia area, there was a lot of Philly bands that also were very inspiring. Like in this area, there was like World War III and Dagon, and like Cinderella came from here, and Britney Fox, and I kind of remember when they were still like before they actually made it to to the big time. So seeing them in the local clubs was kind of cool. And then there was the the lesser, not lesser, but the lesser known bands that weren't as popular, but there was just a lot of original music that that we were all hanging out and experiencing. So there was a lot of inspiration there too.
Sure. All great music, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm particularly interested in your. I've not heard this before. Your admiration for Rage for Order, and I also like that record. I think that's a masterpiece. Um, but isn't it a shame what has happened to Queensryche?
Well, yeah, you mean well the internal fighting?
Yeah, I
Because
mean, well, I think it starts with DeGarmo leaving and sort of goes
yeah,
from
well
there.
there was definitely a huge, because he was really involved in a lot of those backing vocals, which created that sound or the choruses and stuff, the harmonies. I
Yeah,
mean, it was phenomenal.
yeah.
This most recent album, I really like it. I mean,
Condition Human.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna
it's
be talking to those guys. I think it's next week. They're on the road with Armored Saint.
yeah. I really like it. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, I guess what they did was, and maybe this was all part of the structure. I mean, who am I to say? But there are so many little parts that remind you of those first three albums that Queensryche put out. Even the EP that it just draws the older fans in.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's got a great voice. I mean, there's just
Oh
no way around
yeah,
it. But
he's a spitting
I
image
mean,
of Jeff Tate. I can't hear a difference, but that's just my non-trained ear.
yeah, at times
He's like a younger Jeff Tate, you know?
yeah, I would agree. I would agree. I mean, listen, it's it's kind of like I would love to see DeGarmo and Tate back in the band, get everybody back. Like I want to have Ace Frehley back in Kiss. You know what I mean? It's like
Mm-hmm.
that's the way it should be. That's kind of where your head's wrapped around. But these guys are pushing through, and they're really moving their way back to where they should be. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool, man. New Regal was one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, that album. The thing about that album was I remember when it came out, people weren't sure how to take it. They're like, "Oh man, it's so technical. It's this." They were comparing it to things that Rush did and stuff, and a lot of people didn't like it at first because it just was so out there. But man, even the song like at the time back then, like I wanted to get close to you. I thought was their weakest song.
And
But as time went
you
on,
loved it after a while.
yeah, as time went along and you listen to it on headphones and the stuff that they were doing, it's like, man, I know where they were coming from. I don't know if I can do it, but man, that's one of those, artistically, those guys, I don't know, where they came up with that stuff, but it's
Yeah,
amazing.
it is amazing. Yeah, you fumble.
The Warning is very technical too. It's got that progressive technical sound to it. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, like Sanctuary. All of a sudden somebody's whistling, and Roads to Madness is epic.
Yeah, those were the days when you had to have the right headphones, and that's what you were listening to. You could really pick up on all the other stuff. It was great.
Okay, well that's great. I've also never heard anyone mention Stained Class. A lot of people talk about Sad Wings of Destiny as an influential album, but Stained Class is one of my favorites of the Priest catalog too, of the early catalog.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's ask you real quick. Are you planning to hit? Do you do tours or do you play weekends?
We do what we call mini excursion tours.
Okay.
So we'll do like 4 or 5 days at a time, and then we'll do 1 or 2 off shows Thursday through Sunday within our region. So that would be like throughout PA or Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, New York, even New England. So that's kind of like we'll do maybe one large like a mini excursion tour, 4 or 5 days per quarter, and then we fill in the blanks there with a lot of other shows, and we'll do some we'll do some national support when we can, and the reason for that is again because we are a little older, and we try to make the shows count when we can, and we also have we have family responsibilities too, so we kind of work around. I mean, in our situation, the way we look at it is if we're not making millions and we're so obligated that we can't figure out which way is which, then the plus side of this is kind of being an indie band is that we can kind of control this and make it more beneficial for us so that we are enjoying it more and maximizing our playing time. Because the worst thing is when you're playing a string of shows and you're tired, so you're giving the people that are coming in to pay to see a not so great show. I mean, you try not to, but being sometimes on the road just wears you out.
Yeah,
So,
especially the way it goes nowadays. I mean, I mean, you used to go on a school bus. Now they're going in minivans and doing wet wipe showers. And I mean, I've heard some guys talk, and I did this a talk with Ex Mortis, Spellcaster, and Holy Grail, and the way they described the road, man, I just all of a sudden I was like, maybe I don't want to be a rock star.
yeah. My one holiday, my mother had asked me, "Oh, do you get to see this? And you get to see that?" And I said, "Listen," I said, "really, my time on the road is it could be 12 hours in a vehicle with 3 or 4 other guys. We're jam packed in there. We're stopping every 2.5 hours for gas and go to the bathroom, and we're eating, roadside food. And if we're lucky enough, we're able to get to the show with an hour before we have to go on. You know what I mean? Depending on how the show, and depending on how things were booked. So
Right.
I go, most of my sightseeing is being seen at 65 to 70 miles an hour.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not very glamorous. There is something very exciting about it because you're seeing new areas and meeting new people, and you're bringing you're getting the music on the road. There is something exciting about that, but it's not very glamorous in my opinion. Now, I would assume that at the higher levels, it is. Like if you were Steven Tyler, because you don't have to do your own driving, and you can go to the show, when you need to go to the show, so you get to see sightseeing and stuff like that. So yeah, I guess at those levels, but for the regular guy in the trenches, I don't know how glamorous it is, but that's just my opinion.
No, I think I've heard that from everybody pretty much. I mean, there's
Yeah.
absolutely a seriousness, dedication, and commitment going on when you look at the conditions and stuff like that. So, okay.
Yeah, nothing worse than being sick or constipated or some irritable bowel syndrome while you're, jammed in a Sequoia or minivan or whatever for 10 to 12 hours till you get to the next show. It's the worst.
Yeah, my God, I can't even begin to. Yeah. Well, if you guys come
and that's the thing. Those everyday life occurrences, migraines, headaches. You're sick. Actually, on our last little tour, came from we went into Ohio and then we came back through. Yeah, I picked up a bit of a cold. You know what I mean? You don't know how you picked it up. You try to take care of yourself. The vitamin C. You have wipes. And the hand sanitizer. But you're meeting so many people and you're involved in so many different situations that you just never know what what you're going to come across. But it happens.
Yeah, sure. You guys are going through, breakouts of everything.
Yeah.
So, I like that term, new wave of American heavy metal, and I'm going to start using it. And I can tell you right now, it will get picked up by the rest of the press, and they will start using it. So I hope you don't mind.
No, please do. Please do.
Okay. Excuse me. Let me go through a series of kind of left field questions here.
Okay.
Because we're at 39 minutes, and I could probably talk to you all night, but I've got another one stacked behind you. Maybe they.
Okay.
I did think it was really funny where you said we may have had horns on, but I don't remember. So, what is your favorite book?
My favorite book?
Yeah. Or maybe you're not a reader.
Well, I go in spurts of reading. I would say that I'm not a storybook reader. Like like I don't get into that. I kind of read more of
No.
self-help or biographies and things like that. A couple years ago, I read a book on Ben Franklin's life, which was very enjoyable. But in most recent time, I think one of the books that I truly enjoyed, and again, I'm not sure if I have a real favorite. I enjoyed Paul Stanley's autobiography. I also enjoyed Ace Frehley's autobiography. And then one of the books that I probably read multiple times over the years is a book called Aikido in the Dynamic Sphere by Oscar Ratty.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it was written in like 1968, I think. It's had several printings, but it's a martial arts book, but it has a lot of spiritual information in it that you can apply to everyday life. And it's one of those books, at least for me, that I've had to reread because each time that I do, I better understand something or I pick up on something new. And it's not a book that I can read like back to back. I actually I read it and then maybe go back to it in a year and reread it or read excerpts from it.
Gotcha.
And it's a little obscure, yeah. It's not like a Harry Potter book or anything, but that's kind of where it's at for me.
Yeah, it sounds like this. Are you a martial artist?
I have done it over the years, but it's always been something that's intrigued me because it's a discipline, kind of like playing music.
Right.
And there's a lot of similarities. And I mean, wherever I feel that I can learn something to help whatever it is that I'm doing, I'm open to it.
Cool. Can you give me the title of that again? Because anytime I get a something like that, I like to check it out.
It's called Aikido, Aikido, and the Dynamic Sphere.
And the Dynamic Sphere. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
What is the most unmetal music that you listen to?
I like the Bee Gees, and I like Neil Diamond.
That takes a lot of courage. However,
listen, music is music, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, everybody has a persona about what metal guys are or what metal people are, and I enjoy all kinds of music except for I'm not a real country fan, and I don't like hip hop. But I can pretty much listen to anything else.
The last guys on said Billy Ocean and what was it? Billy Ocean, and then there was Christopher Cross on there. So there is a lot of diversity.
I think Christopher Cross is a great songwriter. Myself, I think Barry Gibb is a great songwriter. Neil Diamond, I mean, he's proved it. He was a songwriter for the Stars prior to him, breaking out on his own.
Yeah, he's earned his stripes.
Yeah, he's earned his stripes. So there's a lot of cool stuff out there. You can't be. Before there was the metal of today, there was the music of the '70s. You know what I mean? And if you were around that time, you were influenced by it.
I was around, yeah.
So.
I loved. I've been around since its birth to now, so. The oldest people at the show are me and the band usually. Because there's a lot of older bands out there resurging.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so who's the songwriter for the major portions of the music, or is it a total collaboration?
Well, I'm probably the major songwriter in terms of music and lyrics. I'll come to the table with a structure, with a basic arrangement, and it's presented to the band, and then each member then the collaboration starts about putting their stamp on what it is that they do. We'll tweak a part here or there to kind of make it more of what we're trying to do, because our sound and style is the collaboration of the band, and we're not going to be able to achieve that unless James puts his type of bass playing in there, and Frankie does his thing, and T does the drum, so it's definitely it works like that. Now I would say that we are actually working on a new album which we're hoping to release sometime next year. In this album, we're getting a little bit more of everybody involved. Um, it's both in the lyrics and in some of the musical composition, which I think is great. It's something that I tried to do before, but people are either reluctant or they, I mean, there's a lot involved in writing the songs, and like it's a lot of people like that's not good enough. I don't want to get involved in it, or I can't do it, or there's a lot of different reasons.
Right. You got to put yourself way out there on a limb.
So then by default, the person that keeps kind of cranking them out continues to do it. But with some massaging and some encouragement, and say, hey, look, just give me some things that we can work with, and we'll do it together and stuff like that. Because I think it's more important that starts to happen, because everybody has a vested interest in what's going on. It's important to everyone. And as the band grows, as individuals, as we grow as a unit, as we grow musically, so on and so forth, then we're growing together. And I know you've probably read stuff and heard interviews and talked to guys that sometimes the band the writer goes into a different direction than the band expects.
And the band what?
Than the band expected, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like, excuse me, like when Tom Petty's, when the Heartbreakers drummer left, he wasn't real excited about the direction that they were going. It wasn't something he wanted to do, and stuff happens like that. Musical directions change, but if the bands are doing it together, the members are kind of involved, actively involved, taking a vested interest, then there's a little bit more involvement, a little bit more control. At least that's the way I look at it. And I think it should be that way. And if that's the case, if it's the other way, you might as well make it a solo project, and then you're hiring musicians.
Right, to tour with, sure.
Yeah, and that's a valid, way to take it too. But it depends on how you look at what a band is.
All right. Well, so have you started working on this new record?
Yes, we have.
Okay. And are you going to continue on the same sort of progression, or are you going to do a Rage for Order and make us all confused? At first.
I think we're going to continue on the same progression. We're going to build on it, expand on it, explore some different avenues with it. But I still think we're going to stay. Our basic premise is, and this is the way we look at it, that if we can keep your foot stomping and your head rocking, then we're achieving something. I mean, we're not trying to rebuild the wheel, and we don't want to make it rocket science. We want it enjoyable, but we want to enjoyable for us and for the listener as well. But at times spreading your wings and experimenting with some stuff may be the way to go.
Wow, you are very in touch with what's going on.
Well, I'm very in touch with what's going on with me. Outside of that, I'm not quite sure.
Well, yeah, I understand, but I mean, you sound very, very grounded and able to perceive things in a way that is a very common sense, intellectual way. Anyway.
Well, thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So I have run out of time, so I'm going to ask you, where can we get? I still buy CDs. Is there a CD available for this?
Yes, you can get all our stuff at www.cornersofsanctuary.com, and you can order the physical CDs, or people like to download. You can do that as well. Okay,
I'm still buying CDs.
As a shameless plug, we have a new Christmas song that's out. It's an all original holiday song. If you like that kind of stuff, you can go on our website. You can download it for free. We We got a video for it, and we enjoy Christmas. We have a lot of fun with it. We write some holiday songs a little each year. We either do an all original or we redo a classic and then metal it up a little bit with a new arrangement, and we have fun with it.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm definitely going to download that. I'm getting a little tired of the Ray Conniff singers. Okay, folks, you've been listening to The Gauntlet. We've been talking to Chords of Sanctuary, lead guitarist Mick Michaels, Honest Metal, the new wave of American heavy metal. Get yourself a copy of this record. It's warm and it's full, and there's not a bad track on it. I encourage everyone that was around in the 80s and the new fans to go out and check it out. Mick, thanks a lot. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
Big time.
I appreciated your answers very much. Very thoughtful and questions. So thank you very much. I want to follow up maybe with a record review or something like that I'll do on my own, or I'll talk to the Lord of PR about.
That'd be awesome.
All right. Well, have a good.
All right, brother. Happy holidays to you.
Same to you, sir.
All right.
Take care.